go interactive with
Kate.
When I was a kid, I used to think that pork chops and karate chops were the same thing. I thought they were both pork chops. And because my grandmother thought it was cute, and because they were my favorite, she let me keep doing it. Not really a big deal. One day, before I realized fat kids are not designed to climb trees, I fell out of a tree and bruised the right side of my body. I didn't want to tell my grandmother about it because I was scared I'd get in trouble for playing somewhere I shouldn't have been. A few days later, the gym teacher noticed the bruise and I got sent to the principal's office. From there, I was sent to another small room with a really nice lady who asked me all kinds of questions about my life at home. I saw no reason to lie. As far as I was concerned, life was pretty good. I told her whenever I'm sad, my grandmother gives me karate chops. This led to a full-scale investigation, and I was removed from the house for 3 days until they finally decided to ask how I got the bruises. News of this silly little story quickly spread through the school, and I earned my first nickname, Pork Chop. To this day, I hate pork chops.
That is Shane Koyzcan. He's described by the Vancouver Sun as being at the heart of a Category 5 creative hurricane. I will admit that sometimes I live under a little bit of a rock, and I had never heard of Shane Koyzcan before, even though he sort of stormed onto the scene at the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. He's been at TED Talks. He's got millions of followers on his YouTube site. He was in Nanaimo last year. He's coming back to Nanaimo once again to join, get this, the Vancouver Island Symphony here at the Port Theatre. Pierre Simard, I can't see how these two are going to meld together.
I must say that I am also very keen on seeing how this will happen, because we've been working on what is essentially a brand new show with Shane. He did the show once with another orchestra in BC. This is the second time that he will be performing with orchestra. And he's actually steeped in classical music. You would not, this is not necessarily obvious, but he has a background in classical music. And most of the music that he has chosen that we worked upon are from the classical music repertoire. So there's going to be some Beethoven, Prokofiev, there's some Sibelius, some Handel. All in all, beautiful pieces. It's all about beauty and intensity. And there's also a few specific pieces that were written upon his poems. So specific creation based on Shane's poetry.
Wow, and he is very, very powerful, very intense. And you mentioned off camera just a minute ago that we will probably be crying.
Yes,
in the audience.
Absolutely. That's something of his brand, poetry, where he finds a way to put into words what the layman feels inside. It's extremely powerful. It's not even poetry. He describes himself as a wordsmith. So it's something of a new take on poetry.
I'm not the only kid who grew up this way. Surrounded by people who used to say that rhyme about sticks and stones. As if broken bones hurt more than the names we got called, and we got called them all. So we grew up believing no one would ever fall in love with us, that we'd be lonely forever, that we'd never meet someone to make us feel like the sun was something they built for us in their tool shed. So broken heartstrings bled the blues as we tried to empty ourselves so we would feel nothing. Don't tell me that hurts less than a broken bone.
This show is really the marriage between words and music. I still don't know at this point exactly how it will work. Will the music be playing while he recites his words? Probably we'll have different forms. Sometimes he will be by himself, sometimes we will be by ourselves, and then we will meld together. And it will be an exploration of the human emotion, all the huge range of emotions.
Which music portrays and captures so well. What does this say about where symphony orchestras are going? This is staying relevant, staying current, staying progressive in our culture as it evolves.
I think it's the best example of how current a symphony orchestra still is. You may have this image of a staunch, dusty, organization, this group of musicians
Playing music that's 300-400
yeah.
years old. We've heard it before.
But this is really a rebirth. I mean, you bring in someone who's absolutely current, contemporary, that talks to everyone and uses, where the music that is used really has a past and is recreated and reimagined through the words. So the music gets a new meaning itself. I'm sure Beethoven would approve.
Yeah, oh, excellent. I get chills. I think it's fabulous. Thank you for bringing us to Nanaimo.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. It comes to the Port Theatre. Shane Koyzcan with the Vancouver Island Symphony, art and music, part of a series they've been running. Shane Koyzcan will be on stage February 13th, 7:30, right here at the Port Theatre. Get your tickets early because it's probably going to sell out.
But our lives will only ever always continue to be a balancing act that has less to do with pain and more to do with beauty.